Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into our rugby obsession deep dive. And we've got something really interesting for you. We're looking beyond just the scoreline of a recent Springboks match against Georgia. It was, on paper, a massive win, 55-10.
Yeah, a huge scoreline. You'd normally expect pure celebration after that, especially for the world champions.
Exactly. But, and here's the kicker, the captain, Siya Kolisi, came out afterwards and said he was, and I'm quoting here, far from satisfied. So the big question is, how does a team win by 45 points, yet the leader feels, well, dissatisfied? That's the core paradox we're digging into. It tells you a lot about elite sport, doesn't
It
it?
really does. It speaks volumes about internal standards versus just, the scoreboard.
Absolutely. And look, if you want to keep diving deep with us into rugby analysis like this, make sure you hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession now. You don't want to miss out.
It's definitely a fascinating case study. Because success at this level, it's not just about beating the other team, is it? It's about meeting your own, often much higher expectations.
Spot on. So let's paint the picture. The match was at Mbombela Stadium, Nelspruit, Saturday. Springboks win 55-10 against Georgia. Looks like a walk in the park.
Seems like it. But then you get Kolisi's verdict.
Oh.
Now, remember, this was his first game back this season. He'd missed 3 matches with an injury.
Ah, right. So he's fresh back, watching closely.
Exactly. He's back leading the side, and he's giving this very blunt assessment. Not satisfied. It wasn't just an off-the-cuff remark. It shows the standard they hold themselves to.
Okay, let's unpack this then. A 55-10 win. But the captain's unhappy. What's going on there? Where do you even start trying to figure that out?
Well, my first thought is always about the Springbok culture. They have this inbuilt drive, for constant improvement. Kolisi's comments likely stem from measuring the performance against their benchmarks, not just Georgia's.
Right, their own internal yardstick.
Precisely. Especially early on in the game, he clearly felt they weren't hitting their marks.
So if it wasn't the final score, what specifically was bothering him? What happened on the field, particularly in that first half?
Yeah, the first half seems to be the main focus of his frustration. They were leading 22-10 at the break, which sounds okay, but Kolisi said they really battled to get going. He gave a lot of credit to Georgia, actually. He said it was a tough game. Credit to the Georgians. They came hard in the first half.
Okay.
And then he got specific. He mentioned Georgia physically matched us most of the time. And crucially, we struggled at the breakdown. They were quite dominant there.
The breakdown, okay, for listeners maybe less familiar, why is struggling there such a big deal? What does dominant mean in that context?
Well, the breakdown is where the contest happens right after a tackle. If Georgia are dominant, it means they're getting there faster, winning the ball back, or just making it really slow and messy for the Springboks to use.
So it stops your attack dead, basically.
Pretty much. It kills your momentum. You can't get that quick, clean ball you need to launch your plays. It disrupts everything. So, yeah, Georgia were clearly putting up a real fight physically, right, where it hurts flow.
So definitely not the easy ride the final score might suggest, especially early on. What else did Kolisi say about that first half struggle? Was it just the breakdown?
He also talked about their own consistency, or lack thereof. He put it like this: we weren't able to produce enough positives one after the other. Meaning, they do something good, then make an error straight away. That really slowed down our momentum. He also described the game as a bit slow and very stop-start.
Right. So mistakes, lack of flow, very frustrating. Even if you're technically ahead, that makes the dissatisfaction clearer. It's about the process, not just the result.
Exactly. For a team aiming as high as the Springboks, that kind of inconsistency just isn't good enough no matter the opponent or the final score. It comes back to that super high internal standard.
Okay, so a tough first half, a real grind, but obviously something clicked. They went from 22-10 to 55-10. How do they pull off such a, well, dominant second half?
Yeah, the change was significant. Kolisi said they cleaned up in the second half and eventually took control of proceedings. And this turnaround wasn't just about flicking a switch. It also highlighted the strategic thinking and the depth in the squad. Coach Rassie Erasmus had already rung the changes from the team that beat Italy 45-0 the week before.
Ah, okay.
He deliberately started several less experienced players against Georgia. This wasn't just rotation, it was strategic. Building depth, yes, but also, crucially, cranking up the internal competition.
That's really interesting. So winning, but also testing the wider squad. Tell us about these newer guys. Who stood out? Did they help turn things around?
Oh, definitely. We saw some really impressive debuts. You had 3 front rowers making their first test starts. Bowen Venter at loose head, Neithling Fuchs at tight head, and Marnus Vandermeerway at hooker. Sorry, wait. Marnus van der Merwe with the lock. No, the hooker. Apologies. My mistake there.
I'm easy to mix up, but front row debuts, that's a big ask.
Huge ask. And incredibly, van der Merwe, the hooker, scored 2 tries. Venter, the prop, got 1 too. Kolisi praised all 3, saying they impressed the execution of their core duties. High praise indeed for debutantes in those key spots. They scrummaged well, carried, tackled. Proper shifts.
Wow, 2 tries for a debutante hooker. Anyone else impressing among the newer faces?
Yeah, Edwulf van der Merwe on the wing was electric again. Scored 2 tries, just like he did against Italy. So that's 4 tries in 2 games for him. And Cobus Wise at number 8 also had a solid game. It really shows the depth Erasmus is building, and that depth was clearly needed to lift the performance in the second half. It shows the system is working.
It absolutely does. And it brings us back to Kolisi's bluntness, but maybe from a different angle now. It sounds like his dissatisfaction comes from this position of strength, knowing the standard is high because the competition within the squad is so fierce.
That's exactly it. Kolisi was genuinely pleased for the new guys. He said, "I am happy for them. Congratulations to them and their families." Clear delight there. But then he immediately linked it to the bigger picture. He said, "The coach is building squad depth while we are winning. And you can see the amount of competition in the group."
Right.
That competition, he explained, is what keeps everyone, especially the senior players, absolutely on their toes. There's no room to coast.
That's such a key point, isn't it? Not just for rugby, but for any team that wants to stay at the top. The pressure doesn't just come from opponents. It comes from the guy next to you wanting your jersey.
Precisely. Kolisi spelled it out. The guys who played last week set the standard. In the first half here, we didn't live up to that standard.
So they felt they let the jersey down initially.
In a way, yes, he continued, and had to pick it up in the second half. So competition is tight, and everyone who gets an opportunity has got to take it. But that's what keeps the squad fresh and on their toes.
Yeah.
That internal engine, that constant push from within is vital. It means even a 45-point win gets picked apart because their own standards are just that much higher. It stops complacency setting in.
And that is the kind of deep insight we aim for here. It's fascinating stuff. It's that internal competition driven by the coaching strategy that fuels their fire, keeps them sharp, even at the very top. So thinking about this, we'd genuinely love to hear from you, the listener. What do you think about this level of internal competition? Does it drive performance in your world, maybe in your job or your own team? Do you see similar things happening? Let us know your thoughts. And of course, if you're enjoying this kind of analysis, please do subscribe to Rugby Obsession so you don't miss our next deep dive.
Yeah, to wrap it up, that Springboks win over Georgia, it wasn't just another tick in the win column. It was really a lesson in high standards, driven by that internal competition and impressive squad depth. It shows that for the best teams, even a big win involves self-critique. That blunt assessment from Kolisi. It's not negative. It's actually a sign of their core strength. It's part of why they be successful.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does it actually take to keep hitting world-class standards day in, day out, in any field, really? Especially when success itself can make you, well, a bit comfortable. How important is that leadership voice, the one saying not quite good enough, even when the scoreboard looks fantastic? Something to mull over. Definitely let us know your comments and thoughts on this. We love hearing from you. And please subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more deep dives like this one.
Thank you so much for tuning into this Rugby Obsession deep dive. We've really enjoyed breaking this down, and we look forward to having you with us for our next deep dive.